Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of CompTIA's Trend Watch, where we bring you a little bit of this and a little bit of that from the research that we are doing in the technology industry. I'm Seth Robinson. Today we're going to be talking about everyone's favorite topic, artificial intelligence. We've done some recent research on AI, and we've been looking at how businesses are approaching it. So that's what we want to dive into today. I think to start, I wanted to talk about exactly what it means when we say AI. And I don't necessarily mean the definition of AI. I think at a really high level, everyone kind of understands that the definition of AI is computers thinking like humans, making human decisions, and being able to process in the same way that humans do. But what exactly does that mean? I think it's meant different things over time. And every time we have a new iteration, we tend to just apply the label AI to it. So we talk a lot about AI today, but what we generally mean is generative AI. And in fact, in the research that we did when we played kind of a word association game, 61% of people associated AI with generative AI. Only 23% of people in our survey associated AI with natural language processing, which 5 years ago, that would have been kind of the cutting edge. I think that's what would have taken the lead with everyone associating AI with natural language processing. So we can see how that kind of changes over time. And I think that impacts what we see when we're reading about companies who are using AI or experimenting with AI. We tend to read that as generative AI. But I think these companies, especially if they're talking to a CIO or a director of technology or somebody who's in the weeds with this trend, they could be talking about a pretty wide range of things, including natural language processing, deep learning, machine learning, different types of algorithms that do different things. So we might see a company say, we are using AI for our invoicing, or we're using AI to talk to our customers. And again, with all the hype and the news cycle that we're in around generative AI, we tend to think that they're talking about ChatGPT. And they could be starting to talk about that, but they're probably also talking about things that they've been doing for the past 5 to 10 years with new types of algorithms. And we've talked a little bit before on Trend Watch about how these algorithms are different from traditional software development. And so a lot more companies are doing a lot more software development. They're getting into more artificial intelligence. They're doing a lot of different things. It's not always just going to be ChatGPT. It's not always just going to be robots or Siri. It's kind of going to be all of the above. And it really comes together in the business solution. I think we also see this when we ask companies how they view artificial intelligence generally. And we see a pretty even split where 37% say that they think it's a revolutionary new tool. Another 28% say that they feel like it's a step forward in software development. And then 35% say that they feel like it's an intriguing technology that still needs to be evaluated a little bit. So all the hype would kind of lead us to believe that AI, especially generative AI, is this wonderful new shiny object that every business is rushing to adopt exactly in the form that we use it on our browsers. And it's going to change the world and change the workforce. And a lot of that change may happen over time. We do believe that it's going to transform workflow, but how exactly it does that and how long it takes to do that, I think are two things that are very much up for debate. We can also see some of this difference when we talk about exactly how companies are implementing AI, how they think about AI within their business. And we see that relatively few companies are developing their own algorithms. They're doing their own writing. They're trying to build their own large language model, anything like that. We see some companies doing that, of course, and then we see another small handful of companies that might be trying to purchase those types of tools or that type of software directly from a vendor. But overwhelmingly, what we see is that 69% of the companies say that the way that they're going to implement AI is they're going to buy business tools like they always have, whether that's CRM or business productivity suites or whatever it is. And those software packages are going to have AI embedded in them. So we talked a lot about the solution stack that companies are dealing with, and that solution stack has been getting more and more complex. And so you get a new technology like AI, and it becomes part of the solution stack, but it's not its own thing. It's not a product necessarily that you would plug in and that everyone in the company would start using. From a business perspective, AI is more of a feature than it is a product. And I think we're going to see it making its way slowly into tools. And a lot of us have already seen that. We see in our Word documents or in our email that AI can do autocomplete and things like that. So we've already started seeing that as being something very different than just going into a chat GPT or a Bard or one of these other tools where you're directly talking to the engine and you're getting information directly back to you. And I think that's sort of the final difference that we see here, that for about a decade, a little bit more than a decade now, we've really seen these two distinct worlds of consumer technology and enterprise technology. And I think that the consumer technology tends to be very accessible, and it gives people a lot of new individual capacity and capability in the way that they're doing computing or the way that they're using computers to help them with their everyday tasks. And so we tend to assume that all of those individuals are going to bring this technology into the workforce and it's going to change the workforce. The way it tends to work a little bit more is that businesses are bringing the technology in, they're implementing it, and then the workforce has the ability to access those tools. And obviously, the consumer side can influence it. I think we saw that with devices, where there was a big BYOD revolution, and that eventually turned into a lot of organizations changing the way that they provisioned their corporate-owned devices. But for the most part, enterprises have to take a different view of technology. There's a lot more security requirement. There's a lot more reliability requirement, and it has to fit into the workflow of an entire organization and not just one individual at a time. So I think all of these factors are going to shape the way that we see AI making its way into businesses over the next 12 months. And we will see a lot of transformation, but it's not necessarily going to be overnight. So it's definitely something to keep an eye on. Hopefully that gives a pretty good overview of things for this episode of Trend Watch, and we'll see you next time.